Welcome back to MetaMinds Online, where we empower ambitious and time-poor people to unlock the life of their dreams. And today we're talking about how you are closer than you think to your dream life. And it's so pivotal. You have to be aware that you're that close to your dream life. Like if you're ambitious and you feel like you're time poor and you feel like you're lacking, especially in your job or in your life, and you're taking those steps to better yourself, you're probably closer than you think to your dream life. And it's just being aware that you have to keep pushing through. Like sometimes it feels like it's not worth it. Sometimes it feels like it's just another day, another dollar, or you're coming home and you feel unfulfilled in your relationships, or so many areas that just aren't topping you up. You're not living your dream life in that aspect, but you're taking those steps and it just feels like it's getting nowhere. Like you are closer than you think to reaching that dream life.
Yeah, so chances are, if you think you aren't living your dream life, and you've fleshed out a clear vision of what that looks like, that's what we talk about here. If you have that idea of what your a day in your dream life really feels like when you wake up and you're just doing everything that you want to do, and everything is just on point and you're crushing it, but you're not living that right now. You've probably identified some of these limiting beliefs that we talk about as well, and some of the other problems that are stopping you from actually achieving that, or you have reached your dream life recently and then your goal has changed again. But whatever it is, you aren't living it right now. And we have, a couple of quick stories on our basically experience with this. And then we're going to dive into basically the reason why you are actually closer to your dream life than you think. So Dan, do you want to kick it off with your story?
Yeah, for sure. So, once I finished my counseling degree, it was for so many people, they would resonate with this, I'm sure. You finish your degree, you're promised the world. You come out and you either can't find a job.
Just to jump in, how many years were you studying for?
Yes, 8 years. So it's like I've studied for 8 years. I've got to the point that I've got a master's of counseling. It's like, in my mind, I've done all the work. You would think that I would have the opportunity to find that dream job or find myself in a position that I am feeling extremely fulfilled. And so many people do that. They go through this process of, studying for years and they come out and it's just not what they expected. And that was the same for me. I came out and I've gone through a few different jobs that were great jobs and they helped me learn and they helped me develop as a human being and recognize what I don't want to stand for and what I'm okay with. It's that idea of being aware through every single process, even if it's a negative experience. So I found myself in a few positions that I didn't feel 100% fulfilled in. I came home not feeling 100% amazing within myself, feeling a little bit low at times, and just feeling almost questioning, like, is this the thing I want to do? Do I want to be a counselor? And that's such a soul crushing thought to have when you've done that much studying. So for me, it was that. And it was me actually recognizing, well, why is this happening? Reverse engineering, like, okay, well, what is my dream life? If I'm waking up and I'm going into a workplace or I'm going to wherever, what does that look like? What would actually bring me that fulfillment? And as I started recognizing the type of people I wanted to work with, which is either like through high school or in a university setting, that was something that really stood out to me. That was the awareness of the type of people I wanted to work with. And then I started really just unpacking that and being aware that, well, this isn't okay in this position because I just don't feel like it's the right role for me and the right position for me. And again, it's okay. You can accept that. You don't have to then kind of backpedal and go, well, this isn't right for me. This is just, I have to stop doing this or I have to change careers or whatever. It's being aware that not everything's going to fit right for you. But I was just that close to recognizing what it was that I wanted. And now I've found myself in a position where I'm actually working with students and mentors in a capacity where I'm actually building them either through a mentoring program or through supervision. And that allows me to be a role model and it allows me to mentor and counsel all in the same situation, which is something I couldn't even conceptualize as a job. It wasn't something that I thought that's a real thing. But it took me going through a few obstacles and being hit down a few times and not feeling like I found the right role or even feeling like I was right for the counseling space. And it just took relentlessly hitting back at it and questioning it and going, no, there's more to this. Keep trying, keep trying. And then it finally revealed itself for me.
But you weren't always relentless. Just to kind of give some more context, it seems like your expectations weren't managed in university, because it's like, this is going to happen. And then all of a sudden you realize it's actually way harder than it was going to be. And a lot of people might identify with this out there. If you're trying to do something and then all of a sudden you realize it's actually going to be much harder. Generally, when you dive into a project, you're like, I'm going to do this. And you have this passion, but it's almost like this naive passion. And then you get into it and you're like, there's way more work than I thought it was going to be. And that's okay. But that's where you need to do that pushing. But yeah, it wasn't always relentless for you, and I've got a similar story as well, which I'll tell in a second. It's like, for a while there, you were almost questioning your identity and like, what was happening. I thought that I was going to be this thing, and I studied for so long. How come it's not happening? And and it's like, if you stayed in that state, you wouldn't be in this dream job now that you're in. And so, like, one of the things that helped you get through that was, we have conversations, and this is, it like works with me as well. It's like, when we have these conversations and we unpack what's going on, kind of thing, and we kind of look at the positives and try and actually, so having that friend that you can bounce these things off, kind of thing. So my story, just quickly, basically came out of university, and it was the same kind of thing. Basically, we were told how easy it would be to get into the film industry, ironically, by a bunch of kind of bitter teachers that never actually made it in the film industry. Not calling out anyone in particular, but that seems to be the kind of the artistic way. And it was just impossible to break into the film industry. Impossible. And if you wanted to get funding, there's just absolutely no way to get funding for your film, at least in our particular state at that time. And, there's obviously a bunch of third door elements to it, which we've chatted about here in the past on the podcast. There's like a number of different ways you can get into it. And I eventually found my way into that. I tried going into business for myself, and that failed. And I tried going into another business, which had a whole bunch of hierarchy issues, and I didn't work there. So I went back into business, and it worked for a bit, but then that failed. And then anyway, I eventually found myself into this dream job, which found its way into my inbox on Instagram. I didn't even go searching it out, but it was because I was just kept going. And it was like, I had times where I was questioning my identity as well. It's like, what am I even doing? Maybe I need to pivot. Like, maybe I'll get into sales, or like, what's going on? Like, who am I? Like, I need to try something else. But if you just keep going, like, it's so close than you think. So to dive kind of into that, the book The Dip by Seth Godin, which I just finished another one of his books, which is amazing. If you are creative at all, it's called The Practice. You definitely need to check that out. Just sidebar. But the dip, the main part about that is essentially, at your lowest point, that is when you need to push the hardest, because your dream life is just around the corner. And so what are some ways that we can kind of, be aware that that we're in that element, and how can we get ourselves out of that, Dan?
Yeah, so I think it comes down to that awareness. It's like you said there, I felt, and you felt the same. It's like, what are we doing? Is this right for me? You're questioning your entire identity. You've put all this energy and time into something, and it hasn't panned out the way that either your expectations were managed or that you thought you were capable of achieving. So it's that idea of just being aware that it's very common in really any industry you're not going to find your dream job straight away. It's very unlikely that it's going to fall into your lap. And if it does, that's awesome. Congratulations. But you are probably going to have to work through a few jobs to really start to understand. And this is just for jobs. Obviously, this works with relationships and everything else. It's that idea of you have to experience it to know what you're not willing to stand for. So if it's something within the hierarchy, like you said, or it's something within the role itself, what you're actually doing in the role. Maybe you don't agree with it. Maybe, you're driving too much, or maybe the hours don't fit with you. Whatever it may be, it's being aware when you're doing it, what doesn't feel right. So I think awareness in really anything you do is key, right? You have to be aware and sit and reflect with it. Like, talk to a friend, journal about it, talk to whoever you can that you feel comfortable and safe to be able to express these thoughts. But it will come out. Normally we have the answers within ourselves. Like, we know that it doesn't feel right, The answers. We know that, but we just sometimes can't express that, or we sometimes can't unpack that. And sometimes it will come out as simply as just, you're telling the same story that you've told yourself, but you're telling it out loud to a friend, and then it'll just click
into place. Yeah.
Oh wait, that's why I'm not doing that, or that's why this doesn't feel right. So it's that, I think.
The other key thing is that you are not actually going to achieve your dream life if you don't get through and, appreciate the struggles that you do have. So when you are experiencing problems, just know that that is going to be the thing that is actually going to make you the person that will be capable of living your dream life. So you might be experiencing the worst of the worst right now, or at least that's what you perceive it to be. But you are going to get to the other side of that thing, and it's going to be sooner than you think. And if you can recognize that what you're experiencing right now will make you the person that will live that dream life, you can appreciate it and go, it's all good, bro, because I'm going to get out of it. And it, again, it could be a really horrible situation, okay? But when you become that person on the other side of it, which is sooner than you think, it's going to be much easier to live that dream life. And those struggles are going to make you into the person that you need to be, essentially.
100%.
So hopefully we've given you a fair bit of value in this episode. You are closer to your dream life than you think. And, if you want to know more about this, feel free to hit us up on Instagram. We post a lot of valuable content there as well. Thank you very much for getting meta with us today, and we'll see you in the next episode.